Hi, so I'm very excited to be back talking about my book. You're going to be hearing about it for a while, probably up to the launch or after the launch. I'm trying to decide what I should do with it, whether I should go on a tour, etc., etc. But I have certain ideas, so we'll see. But in the meantime, I just want to talk about the rationale for the book. I think in my first video or the earlier video about the book itself, about why I wrote the book, I talked about my experience of cognitive dissonance when I saw a Somalian woman in the flesh compared to the Somalians that I saw on TV starving due to the drought in the late 80s, early 90s. So, and that, you know, just kind of influenced my thinking around storytelling, about who owns the story, who's telling the story, who owns the power of the story. And from that moment, I knew I wanted to be a storyteller. Not necessarily a filmmaker, but someone that told alternative stories. And I think I kind of knew I wanted it to be on TV as well. In any case, another reason why I am an avid storyteller is because when I was growing up in the Gambia, I think it must have been around the 80s. Yes, it was the 80s because I was about 13 or over. And the song, Do They Know It's Christmas Time at All, came out with Band Aid. That's going to be the worst song in the world. I hate it more than anything else on the planet. And it came out, and of course, as a young black African girl, Gambian girl, or Gambian Ghanaian girl, I sang the song. We were singing the song. We all knew the words. And in my mind, we were singing to support African children, other African children who were naked, didn't have clothes to wear, who were starving, who were poor, who didn't know it was Christmas, didn't have Christmas presents, who, would go to the white people when they came and collect lollipops and sweets from their hand. We were singing for those children. That wasn't us. We had mom. Well, some had mom and dad, but we had mom. We had our meals. We went to school. We went to church. Christmas time, there was a tree and lights and carols and cake and Christmas presents under the tree. And so that song wasn't for us. It was for other African children, So we sang it with gusto. We sang it with, the hope that these African children who were so poverty stricken would be helped. Band Aid would raise a lot of money to help these poor African children. So that's my mindset. That's how we grew up. Or that's how I grew up. That's it wasn't us that were poor. It was them over there. And then of course I came to England, and then I realized that they here in the West were singing that song for me, right? So just like I was thinking, oh, it's those African children over there, or those poor children over there, because even the idea of African really didn't really kick in until you kind of leave the continent, because you're in your country, you're in your silo, right? But when I got here, it's like, oh, they're singing about me. I am that African child without clothes, naked, torn clothes, maybe half naked, running in the street, bare feet, dirty, coming up to the white person for the lollipop or the sweetie. I don't know, it's Christmas time. I don't have Christmas presents. It's me they're singing about. Realization. And once again, that idea of storytelling really took root again, in fact, in a much, much powerful way, which is, I think, one of the contributing factors to me leaving England when I finished my degree in 1995. It's like, this is how they see me, and this is how they see me because of the stories that they've been told, right, about me. And it didn't matter that I knew it was Christmas time, that we had a lovely time at Christmas. It was fun. And it didn't matter. That song was about all of us as Africans. And so storytelling became very, very important to me. And like I said in my earlier video, as soon as I got home, one of the first film or projects I did when I opened up my production company was Gambia Beat, because I wanted to tell Gambians positive stories about themselves. Having grown up with negative stories about myself, I wanted to make sure that Gambians can see themselves as, successful people, like successful entrepreneurs, women making a difference, good music, good fashion, food, good things about us, so that it could counter that idea of all the negative stereotypes. So that's why storytelling is very important to me. And that is why this book is extremely important to me, because I want Africans, especially young African girls, to know that there is an alternative story to what they've been told. To know that there were successful, amazing, strong, courageous, powerful, passionate, loving, amazing, successful queens from Africa who grew up there, who are just like them, right? So that they have that sense of power of, I am just fine as I am great, I am awesome, I can be, right? That is the reason for the book, to tell those alternative stories. And I'd just like to say here as well, before I end this video, about how I have found the process of using artificial intelligence to illustrate my book. I'm going to be talking more about it in my podcast, but I just want to quickly just touch on it briefly. I'd say that the process has been interesting. It wasn't that hard to find African queens. When I gave it the prompt and I said, when I generated the prompt and I said, create this African queen, this name, it did it without any hullabaloo. It's interesting that when I made the Egyptian queens, when I asked for illustrations of Egyptian queens, they all came out as white. And to be honest, I almost left out all the Egyptian queens, because I thought, well, there was this whole thing about, I think they made Cleopatra a black queen or something, and then the Egyptians were all protesting that they didn't want to be black, because obviously, I don't know, in their book, black is less. So I was like, well, they're protesting that they weren't black, so maybe I should just leave them out. But then someone else said to me, no, you better put that black Egyptian queen in there. So I went back to the prompt, to the AI, and I said black Egyptian queen, the name Hasheput or Cleopatra, black Cleopatra queen, and then AI colored them, colored the queen black. So that was interesting, but I'm just really excited about this book. I'm just really excited for the storytelling, for changing the narrative, for upping the, having the opportunity to tell this story. This is a project that I've been working on for 2 years, so it's not a suddenly thing, but it is a suddenly thing in terms of the illustrations, because I really had issues, getting them done. So that's really interesting for us, I think, as creatives, and and I dwell in that intersectionality, right, of being a creative, an entrepreneur, a black woman, an African, and I have to negotiate all of those spaces. But all I can say is, within all that intersectionality of who I am, this is a really good tool. AI is a really good tool that's gonna make our lives a lot easier, allow us to be more creative, allow us to explore more, at less cost, So and we have an opportunity to tell our stories completely now in a way that we never had before. And I'd like to encourage us to use it, especially young people, especially young black people. I'm going to be talking about accessing AI generally later on in my podcast. But one thing I'd like to say is that young people need to start being interested, especially young black people need to start being interested in artificial intelligence and the power it puts in your hand to tell stories, and the information that's been generated through AI. Because if you don't take part now, if you don't access it now, if you don't enter this game right now, we're going to be completely left behind. We're going to be left behind again, and our stories will not be told. So get in front of it, learn how to use it, start generating prompts all the time for people that look like us. For people that look like us. Because there aren't that many. But yeah, I've gone into this conversation on AI, but all I wanted to talk about really was my book, and to just give another reason, why I wrote the book. I'll come back to AI. You can watch my podcast, my second episode of my podcast later on today. But yeah, really excited about this book, 20 African Queens Every Young Girl Should Know About. You can pre-order it from my website. And that's it. That's all I have to say, really. Just wanted to give a background as to another reason why I wrote the book, why I thought that it's extremely important that we see ourselves and that we tell stories about ourselves for ourselves, that I tell stories about myself for myself, that the narrative of who I am is not dictated or owned by somebody else who has more power but doesn't see any need to elevate me. And hold on, before I quit this video, I'm also going to talk about how black women are completely absent from storytelling and narratives, and how that translates into life, right? When you don't see yourself, when they don't make films about you, they don't make you the star. And I mean make you the star as in me, black, brown woman, the star of a James Bond movie. Yeah, me. Or of a Tom Cruise movie, right? Me, the black woman, right? When you don't see yourself there, when they don't put you there, what happens? It translates into everybody's psyche. And they simply tend to ignore you. And it happened to me recently. I created a project from start to finish. It was my idea. I created it. I wrote the application for the grant to get the money to make that project. I ran and implemented that project, me, myself, and I. I had to work with other people, but I ran the project. Did a lot of work. And yet, when they were telling the story of the project, and they had photographs of people who were there, I wasn't there. Insane, right? I was not there. And when I said, oh, but where am I? They said, well, you're in the group picture. But everybody else has a picture where you can see them. But I'm in the group picture. And so this idea of being absent is a really serious issue that we need to address. And we need to address it by, I'm realizing now, and I mean, I've always been a storyteller and I've always wanted to be up front, but I think I'm realizing now more than ever how important it is for us as black women to take center stage, to have a voice, and to be damn loud about it. Because if we are silent, and if we are nice, and if we are polite, and if we don't want to offend, they will literally just push us aside like we didn't even walk the face of this planet. They will obliterate our existence, no matter what we do. Because, I mean, how do you not feature someone that created the project that you're talking about? It's insane. And this is not the first time this has happened. It happened to me when ITV came to feature a project I was doing as well. And when I asked the lady, why am I not on this? She said, oh, you were in the one in the afternoon. How do you discuss a project that I created without me? So let's tell our stories, and let's use artificial intelligence to tell our stories, and let's put these damn stories everywhere, without fear. I mean, the thing about it is the internet has made it possible for us to be everywhere, to be accessible and powerful and vocal and loud, and we need to take it, and we need to grow, and we need to support each other. We need to support our black voices. And we have, as black people, we have such an issue with supporting one another. It's crazy, right? If you're not Queen Elizabeth or something, where they feel they can take something from you, they're not coming. It is terrible. We have a mindset of poverty, of colonialism, and we need to change. Because if we are not empowered as a community, there's no way you as a single person is empowered. I don't care how far you go. You will always be second. So we need to empower ourselves as a community, and then we can have equal access, equal voices, and be treated as we need to be treated, as we want to be treated, as we deserve to be treated. I don't know, this conversation has gone off in another direction, but I'm talking about my book, 20 African Queens That Every Young Girl Should Know About, and the importance of storytelling, of being seen, of having a voice, of stepping out, of being fearless, of being unapologetic about who you are, about not disappearing, fading back into the background because your presence and your forwardness and your voice is going to offend other people, right? So that you can be wiped out of history, so you can be wiped out of the story, or so that you can be ignored, right? So 20 African Queens That Every Young Girl Should Know About. It's coming out in June. You can pre-order the book. Plus the foreword has been written by my good friend and sister, the First Lady of Sierra Leone, Her Excellency Fatima Jabi Madabio. So go get the book, go pre-order it, and let's tell stories. Let's tell alternative stories. Let's share alternative stories with our children. And I will see you again.